Most men never realize this until it's too late, but when a woman becomes distant, stops replying the way she used to, or suddenly feels emotionally cold, it is almost never random. It's a message, and the problem is, most men don't know how to read it. One day, everything feels connected. The energy is warm, the conversations flow, she's present. Then something changes, replies slow down, her tone shifts, she feels far away even when she's still technically there. And suddenly, you're left wondering what you did wrong. That confusion is what destroys most men. Because when a woman pulls away, men panic. They overthink. They send more messages. They apologize for things they didn't do. They try harder, hoping effort will bring her back. But effort without self-respect never creates attraction. It creates emotional imbalance. This video is not about blaming women. It's not about turning you bitter or cold. It's about helping you understand what distance really means and how a man who respects himself should respond to it. Because the moment she pulls away is not the moment you lose your power. It's the moment you either give it away or you finally take it back. And if you handle this moment correctly, you won't just change how she sees you, you'll change how you see yourself. When a woman pulls away, most men assume something is wrong with them. They think they said something bad, didn't text enough, or somehow ruined everything. But the truth is deeper than that. Women don't communicate emotional shifts with speeches. They communicate them with behavior. When her interest changes, her actions change. When she feels emotionally uncertain, her energy becomes inconsistent. When attraction drops, warmth disappears. And when she is no longer fully invested, distance becomes her language. That's why her silence feels louder than words. And in most cases, her pulling back means one of three things. Either her attraction is fading, or she is testing how emotionally strong you are, or she is slowly detaching while keeping you in the background. Men struggle with this because they are taught to listen to words instead of patterns. She might still say, "I'm fine," or "I'm just busy," but her behavior tells a different story. The way she delays, the way she stops initiating, the way the emotional connection suddenly feels one-sided. That is not an accident. This shift is where everything changes. It is the moment where attraction either dies completely or is reborn stronger than before. And the difference between those two outcomes depends entirely on how you respond. If you chase her when she pulls away, you weaken your position. If you stay calm and grounded, you change the dynamic. Because a woman may create distance, but she is always watching how you handle it. And that is where your real value is revealed. When a woman pulls away, the natural instinct for most men is to move closer. They send another message. They try to explain themselves. They look for reassurance. They want to fix the silence as quickly as possible. But this instinct is exactly what kills attraction. Because attraction is not built on need. It is built on emotional stability, self-respect, and presence. When you chase someone who is pulling away, you are silently telling them that you are afraid to lose them. And fear never creates desire. It creates imbalance. Suddenly, she becomes the center of your emotional world, and you become the one trying to keep the connection alive. That shift changes how she sees you. Instead of feeling drawn to you, she begins to feel pressure. Instead of curiosity, she feels certainty that you will always be there no matter how she treats you. And once that happens, attraction fades. Many men think chasing shows love. In reality, it shows insecurity. It tells her that your happiness depends on her responses, that your mood rises and falls with her attention. And no woman is emotionally drawn to a man who has handed over control of his self-worth. The more you chase, the more she pulls away. The more you explain, the less she listens. The more you try to hold on, the faster she emotionally disconnects. That's why doing less is often more powerful than doing more. Not because you are playing games, but because you are refusing to abandon yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. And that is where real attraction lives. This is where most men lose control of the situation. A woman becomes distant, her replies get shorter, the time between messages gets longer, and instead of pulling back, most men start reaching out even more. They send good morning texts, they check in, they try to keep the connection alive. But here's the truth. If she wanted to talk to you, she would. Texting her first when she is already pulling away does not bring her closer. It does the opposite. It tells her that you are more invested than she is. And whenever one person is clearly more invested, attraction becomes unbalanced. Silence, on the other hand, creates space. When you stop texting first, something powerful happens. You stop feeding the emotional dynamic that made her feel comfortable pulling away. You remove the constant reassurance that you will always be there no matter how little effort she gives. And suddenly, she notices the change. Not because you disappeared, but because your energy is no longer chasing hers. Curiosity replaces certainty. She begins to wonder why you are no longer checking in, why you are no longer trying to keep things going. That shift is what gives you leverage. This is not about punishing her. It is not about trying to make her jealous. It is about respecting yourself enough to not chase someone who is stepping back. If she reaches out with real interest, you can respond. If she doesn't, you gain clarity. Either way, you stop losing your dignity for attention that was never guaranteed, and that is how a man stays in control. The moment a woman starts acting distant, most men feel the urge to ask one question. What's wrong? It sounds innocent. It sounds caring. But emotionally, it puts you in a weak position because that question tells her you are uncomfortable with uncertainty. It tells her that her mood controls your emotional state, and it quietly places her in the position of power while you wait for reassurance. A woman who truly wants to talk will talk. She will not hide behind silence and force you to chase clarity. When you ask what's wrong, you step into a frame where you are trying to fix something she has not chosen to explain. That rarely brings closeness. It usually creates more distance. Silence, on the other hand, does something very different. When you do not react emotionally to her withdrawal, you send a message without saying a word. You show that your peace does not depend on her behavior, that you are grounded enough to let her come forward when she is ready. And that calm strength is far more attractive than anxious curiosity. You are not here to decode mixed signals. You are not here to negotiate emotional availability. You are here to respond to what is clearly offered. So instead of asking what's wrong, observe. Match her level of energy. Let her bring clarity if she wants it. Because when you stop chasing emotional explanations, you stop giving away your power. And that is when everything begins to shift. The moment a woman pulls away, most men make one mistake that costs them everything. They make her the center of their world. They start watching their phone, rereading messages, checking her social media, wondering what she's thinking, wondering how to fix it, and in the process, they slowly abandon their own life. That is what destroys attraction. Because the more you focus on her, the less you are focused on yourself. And a man who is disconnected from his own purpose, discipline, and direction becomes emotionally weak, no matter how kind or caring he is. Here's what most men don't realize. When a woman creates distance, she is watching how you handle it. She is watching to see whether you fall apart or whether you stay centered, whether you become needy or whether you remain grounded. And nothing is more attractive than a man who does not collapse when someone pulls away. So this is the moment you go back to yourself. You put energy into your work, into your fitness, into your growth, into your social life, into the things that make you feel strong and alive, not to prove anything to her, not to get her attention, but because your life matters whether she is there or not. And when you do that, something powerful happens. You stop needing her to feel okay. You stop chasing validation. You start becoming emotionally solid again. And that emotional strength changes how everyone sees you, including her. Because attraction doesn't grow when you chase. It grows when you stand firmly in who you are. There is a big difference between being kind and being too available. A lot of men think that when a woman pulls away, the best response is to give more. More attention, more reassurance, more effort. But that only teaches her one thing, that no matter how distant she becomes, you will always stay. And that removes respect. Being unavailable does not mean being rude or emotionally shut down. It means you value your time, your energy, and your peace. It means you do not drop everything the moment someone sends a message. It means you do not tolerate inconsistency just to feel wanted. When a woman senses that you have a full life, strong boundaries, and a purpose bigger than her, something shifts. Your presence becomes meaningful instead of predictable. Your attention becomes valuable instead of guaranteed. That is what creates attraction. A man who is always available feels easy to replace. A man who is selective with his time feels important, so stop over-explaining. Stop replying instantly just because she finally texted. Stop making her the center of your schedule, not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of self-respect. Because when you respect your own time, others begin to respect it too. And when a woman feels that your world does not revolve around her, she begins to feel your absence, even when you are still there. And that is how emotional gravity is created. This is where real strength begins. Most men stay in situations where they are no longer valued because they are afraid of losing the connection. They accept distance. They tolerate being ignored. They lower their standards just to keep someone around. But self-respect does not work that way. If a woman consistently pulls away, gives you little effort, and treats you like an option, the most powerful thing you can do is be willing to walk away. Not in anger, not in bitterness, but in clarity. Walking away means you choose peace over uncertainty. You choose dignity over emotional struggle. You choose yourself over being slowly pushed aside. And that choice changes everything. A man who can walk away sends a clear message. He is not desperate. He is not afraid of being alone. He is not willing to stay where he is not appreciated. And that is deeply attractive. Sometimes she will feel that shift and realize what she lost. Sometimes you will move on and find someone who values you. Either way, you win, because you stop begging for attention. You stop negotiating your worth. You stop trying to prove that you are enough. You already are. Real confidence is not loud. It is quiet and unshakable. And when you know that you can walk away at any moment, you are no longer controlled by fear. You are guided by self-respect. That is where true power lives. Most men believe they lose women because women change. But the truth is, most men lose women because they lose themselves first. They stop being grounded. They stop being confident. They stop living with purpose. Instead, they become emotionally reactive. They wait for messages. They let someone else decide how they feel about themselves. And without realizing it, they hand over their power. Attraction does not disappear because you were not good enough. It disappears when you stop respecting yourself. When a woman pulls away, she is not just creating distance. She is revealing how you handle uncertainty. She is showing you whether you stay strong in silence or collapse into neediness. And that moment defines everything. A man who stays calm, focused, and emotionally stable becomes magnetic. A man who panics, begs, and over-explains becomes forgettable. You teach people how to treat you by how you respond to their behavior. When you tolerate being ignored, you invite more of it. When you step back with dignity, you demand respect without saying a word. That is the difference between a man who is desired and a man who is taken for granted. And once you understand that, you will never fear distance again, because you will know who you are, with or without anyone else.